What's up, everybody? Extramillion here once again with the 5th episode of Totally Sick Bioshock Edition. This time we're running through what's probably my favorite level in the game, which is Fort Frolick. It's run by this completely bug-nutty dude named Sander Cohen. He likes to cover splicers in plaster after he murders them and arrange them in ridiculous poses. It's also basically like if Las Vegas was in Rapture. It's got like a shopping district, it's got a casino, a strip club, you can buy cigars. It's just a really cool place. The basic gist of this level is that Sander Cohen traps you here in Fort Frolic until you take pictures of all of his disciples after you've murdered them and put them in this big art installation called the Quad Tick that he has in the next room, the Atrium. And that in itself is not very difficult. His 3 disciples are a Ice Houdini Splicer, it's actually the first one we'll see in the game, and 2 Molotov Nitro Splicers, but I also still have to kill 5 Big Daddies to get all the Atom that I need for the end of the game, which means I have to kill all 3 of them that are in this level, which is a little more difficult, not just because it was kind of hard to get them to all sort of cooperate, but also because this is the first time that we see the elite version of the Bouncer Big Daddy, the one with the drill. These ones are distinguished by not just the fact that they have way more health, they have about 6,000 health, but because they also have this red and white suit and they have a gold drill, so it makes them look pretty awesome. I also try to complete my research on them, which I actually won't do until I get to the next level, but the second level of research on them gives you Wrench Jockey 2, so I'll have Wrench Jockey 1 and 2 equipped, which is pretty awesome. So I'll have a 900% increase in my wrench damage, so I'll be doing about 200 damage with the wrench, in addition to Sports Boost making me swing a lot faster. I also get maxed out research on Spider Splicers, as you can see here. But the Big Daddies were kind of difficult because Big Daddy behavior is sort of random. Like, they'll wander around the level in sort of a set pattern, but they'll knock on different Little Sister vents. Sometimes they may not get a Little Sister out of the vent, or sometimes it may just take forever for them to spawn at all. The game may just not want to. There actually is a scripted Big Daddy that appears in this level if you kill the first guy and then return and put his picture in the thing like you're supposed to, but I decide not to, just to eliminate a bunch of backtracking. There's also another trick that I use to save a whole lot of time in this level and a few levels after this, and the way it works is if you're waiting for like a scripted event to happen that would happen after someone's done talking on either the radio or if you have to finish listening to an audio diary before it'll happen, you can actually cut them off by playing another audio clip manually from the menu. So since the game is basically waiting for the original clip to stop, by interrupting it, that stops it, so the event will actually happen sooner instead of having to, stand around and listen to people talk. Alright, so we're actually ready to get into Fort Frolic itself, the actual Atrium. All I've been doing now is basically just fighting spider splicers. Behind that curtain there is his Quad Tick, the thing that you have to put all the pictures in. So you go in here, you go to Fleet Hall, and I go around this corner and I take some pictures to get more research of a camera, and then destroy it. Then you have to hit a button and wait for the elevator to come down before you can talk to Cohen again and kill his first disciple. So there are really 4, but this guy you don't actually fight. You just kind of blow him up, because it's sort of like a getting you used to killing them and then taking their picture. So we go in here, get in the elevator, and actually you can sort of stand around and wait for this guy to die because Cohen will kill him, or you can run up to him like I do and hit him with the wrench, and Cohen goes, "Oh, that was quicker than I hoped," which is actually the clip that I play several times to skip stuff just because it's so short. But you go in here and he's actually plastered to a piano covered in dynamite, so I just walk up to him and hit him and then leave. And then, basically for the rest of this level, I'll spend most of it in Poseidon Plaza. The first guy I kill Actually, it's funny enough, the splicers range, the lower their health is, it seems, the more dangerous they are. The first guy you actually fight is or the first guy that you're supposed to fight is a ice splicer, or an ice nitro, or not nitro, an ice Houdini splicer named Martin Finnegan. He has the lowest amount of health, but he actually does the most damage. So you see there, I used the trick to skip that, and then I put the picture in. Then you run down here. And head to Poseidon Plaza. Now, if you do happen to find a Big Daddy that's in the main hall that I just exited out of, there is another area in Cohen's Fine Arts collection that will function exactly the same and allow you to kill the Big Daddies the same way that I do here. I'll describe once I get to it. But Silas Cobb, the first guy that I kill, I'm just looking to see where the Big Daddy is right now. He's down that hallway. So by the time I kill these two guys, or by the time I kill this guy, he'll be out here where I can actually fight him. But this is Rapture Records, and Silas Cobb shows up. And since he's a Molotov Nitro Splicer, a pretty funny thing happens where there's a scripted event where he sets most of the room on fire, but he throws his thing, and since I have the research maxed out, you can see it sort of fizzles out because of that 35% chance that it'll fail. But he's actually pretty easy to defeat. You just wait for that to burst out, then you go in here. And he actually sends 3 spider splicers called his kittens after you, who have more health than regular spider splicers, but they're also on fire, so their health is constantly draining. And you just have to kill them in order for the door to open, and you can go fight him. And he's standing right outside of it, so he is no different than any other normal Nitro Splicer. He just throws his stuff at you and tries to do his melee attack, or that smoke bomb, if they're too close. I'm just waiting for the other one to come down. Alright, so she's dead now. Then I run out here, fight him. I'm basically just trying to stay close to him so that he'll do his kick melee attack instead of throwing bombs all over the place. So you kill him, take his picture. They all have some decent loot on them. And now I'll go and try to find the Big Daddy, who just happens to be right next to me. So I have to wait for him to get away from the stairs so that I can go down there, because the area that I need to fight him in so that I don't get hurt is actually downstairs. And luckily enough, it's actually right next to the next guy that I need to kill. I also find enough components and I make Bloodlust in this level. I know I said in the last video that it's not very useful, but I decide to equip it anyway, simply because I don't really have anything better for the time being. Although I'm not sure why I decided to try to invent it in the middle of being attacked by this Big Daddy, especially since, as you can see, I didn't have enough B enzyme to create it anyway. Luckily, there is a place where you can get some 100% of the time. The only other way to get B enzyme, if you didn't have enough from Arcadia, is to kill spider splicers, and they randomly drop it. So here you go, you walk in here to the Tabaccoria, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's the place where you buy cigars and stuff. And I'm getting more research on these guys, and I basically just stand behind this counter and I wail on them, just like I did in the medical pavilion. This little U-shaped counter has an exact replica in that area I just mentioned, Cohen's Fine Art collection. So if you ever fight them in there, you can just jump behind the counter and do that. More often than not, since this is a small space, the bouncer will just kind of get stuck there and won't move at all. As you can see, it's a little faster than when I had to kill them in the medical pavilion, but it still takes a while. It takes about a minute to fully kill him. You can see a random spider splicer just tried to walk in and was like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" and then just got beat down. Alright, so now he's dead. So I grab the little sister, harvest her, and then loot his corpse for some money. And at the end of this level, I'll actually have all the money that I can carry, which is a maximum of 500. And I'll basically just use all this Atom to buy more tonic slots. so that I can equip more cool stuff. This, you have to walk in here and wait for all of these ghosts and this scripted event that's happening behind this door to end, and then you walk back out into that bar area that I just passed, and you fight Hector Rodriguez, who actually has fairly unique behavior in that he never stops running from you. He just constantly runs and throws stuff over his shoulder, and the bad thing about all of these splicers is that not only do they not take any additional damage from any research bonuses you have, so they basically just take base damage, but they're immune to pretty much every effect that you can throw at them. Like, you can't freeze him, you can't shock him, you can hurt him with the bees, but that's about it. But, so he's dead. He was actually pretty easy, considering as long as I have sports boost, I can always keep up with him. So now it's time to go fight the last guy. Luckily, that bouncer spawned, and I'm taking note of where he is, so I'm letting him go get his little sister, and while he does that, I go to fight Martin. I go to fight Martin Finnegan, who's the last boss that I need to fight. So as you can see, this level doesn't actually take too long if all you need to do is fight these guys. He also has some of my favorite lines in the game, just because they're so, like, Batman and Robin style cheesy ice puns, like "ice to see you," or "let's kick some ice." But he freezes you, and then you unfreeze, and he's actually in this room somewhere. He doesn't reveal himself until you get close, so you can actually kill him without having to fight him. He's there just at the very end, to the left. And if you have the crossbow, you can just kind of like snipe him out, but of course, I beat him to death with the wrench. Now, I said earlier, he actually does the most damage, just because his ice bolts actually really, really hurt. So I take note not to get hit by him. One hit can actually take me down to about 10% of my health. Now, the tonic I just got from him is called Frozen Field, which is actually one of the more useful tonics that I'll equip throughout the rest of the game, because not only does it reduce all the cold damage you receive by 15%, because more Houdini splicers like him that shoot ice start appearing later in the game, so it protects you from them. But it does an extra 10 points of cold damage, so you can do all the normal damage with your wrench plus 10 of cold, and most enemies don't have a resistance against cold type. And it also has a 10% chance of freezing the enemies when you hit them, which is pretty awesome. It basically acts like the first level of Winter Blast. So I come back in here and fight this Big Daddy. Now, the way Frozen Field works on regular splicers is a bit different than the way it works on Big Daddies, because after you freeze an enemy, you hit them again, you start depleting their frozen health bar, which takes less hits than if you were depleting their actual health bar. And if they become unfrozen, then they take a percentage of the damage that you did to them, but not all of it. And if you can manage to deplete their frozen health bar while they're still frozen, their body shatters. And it gives you no loot, but it also basically makes it so that they just get stuck in place and you don't really have to fight them, you just have to beat them until they shatter. Big Daddies, it works sort of the same way, but their frozen health bar is not only way longer, but if you don't manage to keep them frozen the entire time, they don't take any additional damage. So it's actually not to your benefit to use Frozen Field against Big Daddies. Because although Frozen Field will give you that extra 10 points of damage, it also freezes them to no real benefit. So it basically just kind of wastes your time. Or, well, it does have one benefit in that once they get frozen, their AI routine sort of resets, so they kind of stop whatever it is they were doing. Which basically allows you to keep them in place and just make them stand there and get hit a whole bunch of times. It's also useful if they're charging at you, and you can count on that one wrench swing to actually freeze them in place. Alright, so I've got 2 Big Daddies down, killed the 3 guys, so I run back to the Atrium, and I buy some stuff at the Gatherer's Garden. Nothing too important, just more tonic slots and the health upgrade. Now, there is a scripted event here that I can't leave the level until I do, and it's when you put in 2 of the 3 pictures, Cohen sort of like flips out on you and sends, I'd say probably 15 or 16 spider splicers to go attack you, which is no real problem now since I have all of the damage bonuses that I've got from them. I have Frozen Field for that extra damage, and I have Wrench Lurker 1 and 2, so I can kill them all in one hit. It's just kind of a pain in the ass to fight them all. The cool thing about this fight is that if you listen, there's a very recognizable classical piece of music playing in the background. So it's even when he's against you, Cohen is still pretty classy. And as you'll see, there's actually so many bodies in this area that the game starts to kind of like bog down and get all laggy, just because I kill so many people. Also, one thing I should mention with Frozen Field is another reason why I don't have Bloodlust equipped for very long, is because Bloodlust only gives you health back. I believe it gives you a percentage of your maximum health back, but it doesn't activate if you don't hit the Splicer's actual health bar. So if you freeze an enemy, you're depleting their frozen health bar, like I said earlier, so Bloodlust does not activate. So if I'm going to have Frozen Field 1 and 2 equipped, when I get the second one in the next level, I can't really have Bloodlust equipped because it's kind of a waste of space. So this is the last Splicer, so he's finally dead. So now I can go put the final picture in, and Sandra Cohen actually appears to congratulate you, and I stop for a second to admire him just because he's probably my favorite character in the game, and he makes this ridiculous entrance with like fireworks and stuff. Yeah, there he is. What a pimp. He's such a cool dude. Now, in this level and the 7th level, you can actually fight him, and he basically functions as a Houdini splicer that's really powerful. If you fight him now, there's not really much point to it, but if you fight him later in Olympus Heights, he gives you, or his body has a key that allows you to access some cool stuff in this level, plus it's the only way to get into his apartment to get one of those Power to the People stations that allows you to upgrade your weapons. So there's not really a point to killing him now. That tonic I just got from his office that only opens after you complete his quad tick is called Electric Flesh. It's the first version, and it reduces all the electrical damage you receive by 75% and increases all of your outgoing electrical damage, so like Electrobolt and all that stuff, by 30%. So not only does it make all of your electrical attacks way more powerful, but it cuts down all of your damage by a significant amount. So you can basically stand in any water and shock splicers without worrying about electrocuting yourself, almost. It still makes you take some damage. This, what I'm doing right now, is this Big Daddy randomly spawned up here. He has a little sister, but that's not really where I wanted him to spawn, and I kind of have to make a decision as to whether I want to fight him up here or whether I wanted to go replay the whole level again and try to record and get him in a different spot. The reason I don't want to fight him here is because if I hit him and freeze him, then that's no good. Or if I hit him and he becomes distracted by those machine gun turrets at the end, that's also no good. And I have to make a decision fast because this area has spider splicers that randomly spawn continuously, so you can't ever really get rid of them. But luckily he follows me down here, and I proceed to lure him into the Tabacoria to just kill him like all the other guys. I also get some Little Sister research in this level and the next level. I believe I may have mentioned it in one of the earlier videos, but Little Sisters, they have 5 levels of research just like everyone, but all of their rewards are the same. It's basically an 8-point increase into your health and Eve. So from 5 levels you get 40 health and 40 Eve total. So at the end of the game, if you get all the health upgrades and all the Little Sister research levels, you can have a total of 560 of both health and Eve. But I don't worry about it too much. It's not that big of an increase. Especially since in the later levels, I'll have Frozen Field 1 and 2, and I'll do so much damage with Wrench Jockey 1 and 2, and all of my damage research bonuses, that I'll just be able to kill every enemy in like 1 to 3 hits, and any enemy I can't, I can just freeze and then wail on until they're dead. As you can see, I freeze him every once in a while, so I kind of have to wait, because every wrench swing has a 10% chance to freeze him, so if I keep swinging, I have a % chance to keep him frozen, which I don't really want to do. It's kind of morbid when you think about it. It'd be like if I walked into some little girl's house, killed her dad, and then started taking pictures of her. Alright, so kill him, harvest her, and then I can finally leave and head towards probably my other favorite level in the game, Hephaestus. So, wander back through Poseidon Plaza, back through the Frozen Tunnel, and back to the Atrium. Now, while I was doing all of this, Sander Cohen, he walks down the stairs in a big theatrical fashion, and then he starts talking to you, and then he walks over to this glass container and opens it up, and what's inside is the second level of the Medical Expert tonic that I got in Neptune's Bounty, and this one gives you an extra 40% health instead of 20% like the first one. And when I get more tonic slots, I'll equip 2 of those at any given time. At the end of the game, I'll have Medical Expert 2 and 3 equipped. So that's basically it for this level, and I will see you guys next time in Level 6, Hephaestus.